Okay, so before we start getting into, you know, putting any kind of graphics on the screen, we have a few um, lessons, a few things we need to discuss. So one of them, for this lesson, what we're going to talk about is some of our math operations. If you go into the MicroWorlds vocabulary and look at math, you'll see there are all these different math operators. So all of these are available in some form in Python, or you can build them some way. I'm just going to go over a few of them. Let's see. So we have the basic operators. We have addition. We have subtraction. We have multiplication. And we have division, right? So these are more or less the same in Code Sculptor. Let's take a look real quick here. So I'm going to print 2 plus 3, and I'm going to print 5 minus 1, and I'm going to print, let's see, 3 times 7, and I'll print 14 divided by 3. Let's see what happens with that. Press play, and here we go. Okay, so you see we have all the answers, and you notice just as in MicroWorlds, when we did a division that didn't exactly work out, we got this fractional, this decimal piece, right? And this is a long repeating one. We know mathematically that these 3's go on forever, but there's only so much space on the computer, so they limit how much space they give to each number. Now these numbers with the decimal points and the values after them are known generally as floats, and you can actually enter numbers directly as floats in MicroWorlds. We could say show 7.5 divided by 3. Turns out to be 2.5. And you can also in MicroWorlds convert a floating point number into an integer number, either with int. Oops, should have said show here. So you can either use int, and that converts a number. That just basically chops off the decimal portion of the number. Or if you say round, that rounds the number to the nearest integer. Okay, so we have similar things in Python, where we can say, for example, print, let's take the integer part of 3.6. Now notice here, though, we put parentheses around the number that we're that's our argument here to integer. So 3.6 is our input to the integer function. In Python, we use the name function instead of procedure, like we do in MicroWorlds. And we could say round 3.9. There's also a thing in Python called float, where you can convert an integer, a number that doesn't have a decimal point, into a floating point number that has a decimal point. So we'll see what that looks like. Okay, so actually it doesn't appear any different here, but this is has been converted into a float, and we'll see examples later of why you would want to do that. Let's see. There's also something in microworlds called power. So if you said, for example, let's say show power 3, 2, what this does is it says, okay, raise 3 to the second power, or give me 3 squared, which is 3 times 3, which is 9. If I did that right, yeah. Okay, or if I said 2, if I said show power 2, 3, that gives me 2 times 2 times 2. That's 3 times, so that'll be an 8. Okay, in Python, the way that we do that is we say print like 3. We just put 2 multiplication signs, or 2 to the third, and play that, and we get a 9 for this 3 squared and an 8 for the 2 cubed. What else? There's an operator in microworlds called remainder that divides one number by another and gives us whatever's left over. So like 7 divided by 3 is 2 with a remainder of 1. So the remainder is just 1, so that'll give us the 1 back. Similarly, or if we could also do something like 12 divided by 3, that's going to have a remainder of 0, right? So if we do that, we get a 0. So we can do a similar thing in Code Sculptor. There's an operator that looks like this. And this. Or this. Okay? So let's see. 3 divided by 2, that is 1 with a remainder of 1. 2 divided by 3 is 0 with a remainder of 2. And 12 divided by 4 is 3 with a remainder of 0. So let's see. So we should just get the remainders. And that's what we got. 1, 2, 0. Okay? What else? Sometimes we just want the integer portion of the division. So we can say something like this. We use 2 slashes, and that gives us just the integer part. So now if we do this, let's see. So 3 divided by 2, we had a remainder of, it's 1 with a remainder of 1. Let's see, maybe I could make it a little bit clearer what's going on here. If I move these around, and then I'll put just a plain print in between to give us some space. And print, let's see what happens there. Okay, so 3 divided by 2 is 1 with a remainder of 1. 2 divided by 3 is 0 with a remainder of 2. And 12 divided by 4 is 3 with a remainder of 0. Okay, so that's a nice way you can get the whole number amount from the division and then the remainder. So one last thing we also had in microworlds that we have in Python is the idea of using parentheses to control the order of operations. So just like in algebra you learned PEMDAS for the order of operations, or in arithmetic you might have learned this. So if we said 3 plus 2 times 5, basically we have this idea of precedence, or the order in which operations, the order of operations. So multiplication is done before addition. So we could, so if we hit return here, what's going to happen is that this multiplication will be done first, the 2 times 5, that'll give us 10, and then we add on the 3 to get 13. Okay, but if we wanted to change the order of operations, what we could do is put in parentheses like this. And now we added the 3 and 2 together to get 5, and then 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, and we can do a similar thing in Code Sculptor. So if we say print 2 plus, let's say 3 times 5. Or let's do it the other way we did it before. 3 plus 2 times 5. And then if we stick in the parentheses. Okay, so this first one should come out to, let's clear the console. This first one should come out to 3 plus the product of 2 and 5. So 3 plus 10 should be 13. And then here we should see 3 plus the sum of 3 plus 2 times 5. So 3 plus 2 is 5 times 5 is 25. So let's try that. And there we go, 13 and 25. Okay, so yeah, that's it for now for arithmetic operations.